Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Marketing Roundtable, a digital marketing podcast. My name is Brandon Jones. I'm the producer, along with a paid media strategist, and I'm going to kick it over to Brian Cosgrove, the host for today.
Hi, I'm Brian Cosgrove. I'm an analytics strategist and principal here at Brain Consulting. And I'm going to kick it over to Sarathkumar.
Hi all, I'm Sarathkumar. I'm a supply chain data scientist and an independent consultant for retailer and e-commerce companies. And also I'm a startup co-founder for a green logistics company.
Glad to have you. Welcome on.
Thank you so much, Brandon and Brian. I'm excited to be on the podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited to have you. We really appreciated meeting you at our analytics events here in Philadelphia. And I think you have an interesting perspective. Your career has taken definitely some interesting twists and turns. Tell us a bit about how you got into analytics. Tell me just sort of, early on, you're in high school. Tell me a bit about what got you inspired to go in this direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, Brian. So right from my school time, I'm good at mathematics and physics as one of my favorite subjects, and I love to think logically, and sometimes I look up some numbers for my to state some facts with my friends and whatnot, right? So that's kind of where it's all started, and back to bachelor's during my industrial engineering. I did my capstone project, which was literally a supplier selection for a chemical manufacturing plant. So there we did a bunch of data models. What we had to do was like we have like set of 100 suppliers. You gotta select, you can choose the best one, and you have to come up with the best strategy of like how we can procure at any time, right? Be it as a peak demand or non-peak demand. So
Right.
we put up like multiple models, and then we came up with some certain qualitative and quantitative answers, and then we figured out, okay, top 5 suppliers are the ones you have to go, and this is exactly how much you need to order, right? So we did this project closely working with a consulting company, and that's exactly how it started, right? Okay.
Right. So I just want to pause here. So
Mhm,
you decided you want to get into this. You decided
mhm,
data science is your thing. How'd you
mhm.
even find out that data science was a thing?
I don't really do know, right? Because it's logical, it's driven by numbers.
Right.
That's exactly how my thinking process is, and I really don't know. I mean, data science is the word I got to know after coming to US,
Right.
right,
It's math. Yeah.
exactly, it's math, right? It's all math, statistics, distributions, right? Back in my bachelor's, my industrial engineering courses had different courses like operations research, supply chain analytics by itself, and how do you improve a process through numbers, right? Like a quality control, like out of like 1 million products, how do you pick and choose the which product to test, right? You cannot test all the products. So there we have like Six Sigma quality concepts all coming in, and
Right.
then we have like operations research courses which touch like routing, like how's the last mile routing would work, right? I literally worked out the math by hand, and then I figured out, okay, well, this is a great work. This is so interesting, and like and it's going to keep me on toes and challenging. So yeah, that's exactly how I got into it. And after getting into it, I got to know, okay, yeah, it's a data science. Okay, yeah, I'm happy to call myself data science.
I gotcha. I
Yeah.
gotcha. So you were into math. You decided to go in and start your career. You decided industrial engineering. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about how you came
Mhm.
to industrial engineering of all the kinds of different math
Sure.
projects,
Mhm.
majors you could have gone in?
Yeah, sure. So as you know, I know I'm going to be an engineer, not a doctor or anyone, and and I got into and in front, like I wanted to do a mechanical engineering at first because I'm super passionate about automobiles.
Yeah.
Even day in and day out, I have my simulator that I would be riding it and enjoying it, and I talk
Super.
about cars to my friends and whatnot, right? And even today, I can like dismantle a car engine ground up, and I can like rebuild it back. So I know
Do
each
you
and
have a
every
favorite
moving
kind of
parts.
car? What kind of cars?
Yeah. So I mean, I drive a Dodge Charger.
Dodge Charger.
Charger,
Okay.
I do. Yeah, I love. I ride that right now because I love American cars. I mean,
Yeah.
American
Yeah.
muscle cars is one of my Dreamcaster drive. So yeah, because I'm here, I'm owning it. So yeah, I love. I mean, I crazily watch F1 race. Formula One race is
Yep.
my go-to thing, and every Sunday I'm locked up. I do not worry about anything else. My wife, my son now. I don't give a damn about them. But yeah, I'm super passionate about this automobile science, and I really want to get into it. But then when I got into there, I started feeling like, okay, I gotta be on a shop floor and do these like things and working with all the metals and whatnot. Like then I started like questioning myself. Okay, so like what I really want to do, right? Then I got an option of like saying, okay, industrial engineering. Okay, what is that? I'd never heard of the name.
Yeah.
Okay, let me look into it, right? And then I figured out it's a management science and it's a vast, huge, lot more things are like happening in the world, right? So whenever I type industrial engineering, it shows like, yeah, there's a like industrial engineers doing these things in like China or like in these things in United States. German engineers are doing this, right? So I started like connecting the dots to see, okay, this is actually a really big deal, right? So let me
Yeah.
go and explore, right? Because I want to see, okay, what's in there for me. And when the moment I got into it, very first semester, I figured out, yeah, this is what I want to do, right? It's got data, it's got like the management science, analytics, it's got all parts like to keep me on toes, right? So that's exactly how I got into there. And
All right. Super interesting.
Mhm,
So you saw it as being a lot broader. You could work on bigger problems.
mhm,
Lots of different industries kind of
yep,
fall into it. It's not
mhm,
completely narrow.
mhm,
And and that excited you. So let's get to, you said you had a really amazing internship there. Tell me a bit about that.
mhm. Sure. So the internship out there, which is my first data analytics project, is for a chemical manufacturing plant based out of Chennai, and they were looking out for a specific product that they're trying to source, and it's actually procurement analytics. So they wanted to understand which supplier I can get this product from, right?
Yeah.
This specific product, then they wanted to. Okay, so that's exactly the problem statement, and we are closely working with another consulting firm who actually had this project with, and because obviously it's a huge project, right? And they already been a client with them, and we are associated with this consulting team, and working closely with my professor team, we figured out, okay, hey, okay, we need to figure out this supplier, and we have thousands of suppliers. How are we gonna select it, right? Who's
Right.
the best one who's gonna have, give give us this product at the asked quantity, right? Through peak and non-peak times, how we can like trust, right? It's out of nowhere, right?
Hmm.
And the problem multifolds. And there are suppliers for both from domestic and international, right? So both mostly from China, one from like Europe, and the other from Vietnam and whatnot,
Yeah.
right? So putting this all together, there were like hundreds of suppliers. We came up with a list,
Yeah.
and now we need to know, okay, who to select, right? Okay, then we went on to talk to experts inside the company by themselves, saying, okay,
Mhm.
hey, this is what matters to me. This is what matters to me. We literally spoke to like broke down and spoke to 10 teams to
Hmm.
understand what's your priority, right? We spoke with the like different procurement professionals inside the company, and we figured out to say, hey. We created a survey metric. We also call it like it's called analytical hierarchical processing. We go by the hierarchy and we rank based on the experts, saying, okay, yeah, these are the things would do good. And out of it, it came up with what is the minimum order quantity, right? And what is the lead time I'm looking at, right? Because if I'm sourcing from domestic, I can do it in a week, but if I'm doing it in a international way, then I gotta wait for like a month or at least a month
Shipping.
and a half, right?
Yeah.
Exactly
Exactly.
the same the same dynamics directing the US supply chains. I exactly saw that the problem right there when I was like 19, age of 19.
So, okay. So you're solving major pieces there. This is an interesting dynamic. So, a
Uh-huh,
consulting company that works with a chemical engineering
uh-huh,
company
uh-huh.
is saying, hey, we want to buy some materials.
Yep.
Who do we buy them from?
Uh-huh,
What's the best decision we could be
uh-huh,
making here?
uh-huh, uh-huh,
And as you're working with them as a 19-year-old, you're working with consultants who are, having your team do a lot of the support,
uh-huh,
behind the consulting.
uh-huh,
Um, you were doing intake. You were gathering the requirements, the preferences, the needs to create effectively a model of what success is, what looks good, what we value, what's important. And you're classifying and you're grouping all of these other entities, anybody you could buy these materials from,
Mm-hmm.
putting them into a list,
Yeah.
and calculating out these are the ones you should go with.
Yep.
You did this at 19.
Mm-hmm.
And as you just described, it's important today.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
these are important business decisions to do even now. So
Yes.
you have this amazing experience. You're doing industrial engineering. You're using math
Mm-hmm.
that you were passionate about. Um, help me understand, how you get from this key experience. You know, I know, you had mentioned before when we were talking earlier about you had this opportunity with IBM that
Mm-hmm.
just tell me a little bit about kind of that period of your life
Mm-hmm.
and, where you went from this amazing undergrad experience to,
Mm-hmm.
this IBM
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Yes. Sure. So, uh, because of this project was going on in my final year of my bachelor's, and
Mhm.
I was looking for the opportunities and trying to land. And that time we have this, because ours is a premium institute, a College of Engineering Indy. We had like multiple in a companies that come and like hire directly right on the campus. So that's how I got into there, right? So I was like setting up like to get some mock interviews, and then but then I thought, but then I got into an interview, and because the interview was just like this, like just talking back and forth, and
Yeah.
they were picking my brain on like how was how was my process thinking, how's my the thinking process behind any problem, right? So how do you approach this? How do you do this? That's exactly what they were like looking for, my attitude towards it, and they were like, yeah, they're happy with my profile. I was like, okay, yeah, that's great, and but one thing is like they do not they do not prior know exactly where I'm gonna be working. So that was a problem of that time, right? So they
Right.
usually do some hiring of like 100, 200 people, and they do an intake based on the project they have, and they allocate based on the project, right?
Right.
And as a fresher out of college, it's like first job, right? I was like happy because it's IBM, it's a global brand,
Yeah.
and yeah, I was earning a decent buck, so I was like, which is like out of for a student, that's like a lot,
Yeah.
and I moved to Bangalore. Bangalore is also an amazing place,
Yeah.
where a lot more things had just happened there, and I was like, okay, yeah, let me give an experience to see okay how things goes there, right?
Yeah. It's
That's
a
that
tech hub. It's a major
exactly
tech hub.
exactly a tech hub there, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly how what the transition happened there, in a moving to
So,
IBM.
okay. So you moved to Bangalore and you're working for IBM, but uh, it's not decision science.
Yeah, no.
You so the lesson here is okay. You go into as you went into your undergrad, you figured out, hey, which kind of engineering do you want to do? You do industrial engineering, and you get this amazing internship.
Mm-hmm.
You're confident. You're feeling pretty good about what you've done so far. When that job fair comes around, you impress these folks at IBM.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know that you did something important as a
Yep.
19-year-old.
Yep.
But the one downside is they're just looking at you as seems smart, has a degree in engineering, will figure out where to place it.
Yes.
But
Mm-hmm.
you didn't actually get placed intentionally
Mm-hmm.
in industrial engineering or where you wanted to be. So you
Mm-hmm.
have this kind of period here where you're sort of navigating,
Yep.
where you want to be. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me a little bit about, that period and how that bridged to your next chapter.
Sure. So I was like earlier in the times, I know I didn't get into the right project of the IBM, and I was placed in a different like a lead generation software that I got a testing. So
Okay.
and I wanted to understand. I don't want to. I want to keep my mind open because this is a first. Maybe this is what the
Still exploring.
jobs is like about to offer. Maybe my
Yeah.
passion is something. Okay, we'll see. Okay, where it goes, right? So I was keeping my mind open. I was really learning a bit and learning the new job, picking up. What we do is we have requirements, and I write up the test cases, with still like confirming the requirements, and obviously testing up at the back end and marking it done, right? So, and later we moved on to automation testing, a bit on the
Yeah.
automation to, okay, right, automatically come up with these test cases and like automatically check out the boxes and like, yeah, done, right?
So
So
test cases and
exactly.
heavy
That's it.
test cases and QA work.
Exactly.
And you are working in lead generation. And so
Mm-hmm.
some things that, some of our audience here
Mm-hmm.
heavily involved in marketing,
Mm-hmm.
they might deal with similar kinds of problems, and you're bringing some of your data science background to it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't quite match the supply chain, global decisioning
Yes. Mm-hmm.
that you were drawn to.
Not yet. Not yet.
But you met some interesting folks here because now you're working at IBM,
Mm-hmm.
global company, big brand, tons of different businesses that they're involved in.
Mm-hmm.
There's potentially some internal, I'm sure you were looking at some internal transition, pieces there, but, you know, uh, tell me a little bit about your next chapter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So being there for I spent like couple of years being there, and I figured out, okay, this is not my career path, right? I got the strong hunch saying, now, Sarath, you don't belong here, right? So
Yeah.
and luckily, yeah, thank God for it. So it all happened because of them. I joined IBM and I was working for like a couple of years, and I was doing like all the repeated projects, but in a different projects, but it's all in the same QA engineering and like testing. That's exactly what my profile was. And I figured out, okay, that's exactly not where I'm gonna spend my thing. But let me say this. It's actually a comfort zone, right? Because you're earning good, you're in a Bangalore, and you're
Yeah.
like, youth and like single, like that's like the best anyone like of that age would love to have, right?
Yeah.
And I say like most of my friends, they just stayed up there. I mean, because it's a comfort zone, and
Yeah.
we have been taught, like right from our childhood, we thought, okay, do not come out of this, right? Because it's safe being there,
Well,
right?
for a lot of people, they're like, I made it.
I made it,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah. Like,
But exactly, it hit me because I'm a guy. I always like look for like, next things, and I want to do interesting things in my life, right? So
yeah.
that kind of kept me up, and luckily I met a couple of mentors, right? One mentor who has the exact industrial engineering background, and but he joined IBM same like me. Wherever the opportunity was, that he just went up there, and then like, he worked there for like 20 years, because as I said, it's a comfortable life.
Yeah.
If you want to grow up a family, it's a perfect job, right? And
Yeah.
beautiful workplace. You get like perfect work life balance. All things are like checkbox, right? There is no thing that you wanna like break up, something like that. But as I said, I didn't feel enough, right? So I had like the
Yeah.
thirst to go explore more, travel more. Is always been there right from my childhood. Like I always had that. So it's like, okay, then I was like exploring the opportunities, and I was connecting two mentors, right? So one mentor is the one who was already came to US, did his masters, worked here, and he got back because of his personal issues. But then he was working on the core data science and AI side, and he has
Sure.
multiple patterns to his place, to his name too. So he's super smart, the best kind of best
Accomplished.
one of the smart
Yeah.
guy I've ever met. The other guy is like, he's been there for 20 years, but he clearly saw me, and he's like, you should go to US. You pursue US, you go you do masters there, because he has this feeling. See, the mentors are who are nothing but some of them have made mistakes, and they don't want their mentees to do it, right? Or also they have seen like better opportunities elsewhere, right? So and they want the mentees to explore around, right? Maybe they were feeling so comfortable they didn't explore during that time, and maybe their family situation or whatever, they're let. But he was like, go for it,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't believe this. Like, I'm not sure if this. So IBM, as an IBM employee, I'm just going off mic, but you can't give like the letter of recommendations, because I think there are some company policies. But
Right.
he still did that, and he's like, he badly want, like, he's like an adopted father and like adopted son. Like, he saw me like that, and he's like, you you should you should have the best things, right? So all those kind of motivations and my burning desire to really travel and like
Yeah.
see different things and different problems. I want to work on a bigger scale. That kind of pushed me to do, okay, go for masters, because once you start working, you don't feel like going studying, right? It's a lot more mental strength you need. Going to a country where you don't have friends, you're not a native language speaker, and you don't know what's going to happen. It's a 50-50, right?
Yeah. You
Either you
had a
fail.
great job.
Exactly.
You had an amazing job at IBM, comfortable.
Excellent.
Obviously, people there that really think a lot of you. Those mentors really care about you. And you said, "Hey, I'm going to go back to school, but across the world,
Yes.
and kind of and restart with a place where." Like you said, you're completely out of your comfort zone. You don't have any friends there. You don't have any contacts there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay. So you go and you make this trip. You're now going to grad school
Yep.
in tell the audience where you went.
I did go to University at Buffalo. Yeah, it
Okay.
is exactly 2016 January. I got the admit to University at Buffalo. And
Yeah.
remember, guys, so this is like I gotta write letter of recommendation, statement of purpose, all without AI. Okay, it's pre-AI age.
Yes. Yeah.
As a non-native English speaker, has to convince the
Mhm.
admission board of an
Mhm.
American university. Say, hey, yeah, I'm worth. I'm a guy of worth to do this masters, right? So that
Mhm.
was a pretty yeah, thanks to my
I'm
friends, the
sure.
mentors, everyone helped me doing this. That's exactly what is collective knowledge put together in a single document. Like I see the statement of purpose, it's a single page, but trust me, like 10 people have proofread it. They have reviewed it and they made it right, and helped me out like throughout the way. So all those blessings helped me to land up this course. I went to University at Buffalo, New York,
Mhm.
and yeah, I chose masters in industrial engineering with more on operations research concentration, and on all of my courses were in like or and data science. That's where I pick and chose my projects.
Mhm.
During my first semester, I got like really a lot more introduced to biostatistics, the professor,
Yeah.
and she was working closely with the New York City police. Like the name of it's actually the university police, and we were trying to understand, because data science is kind of more of a theory, a lot of theory and a lot more mathematics go in there. But
Yeah.
to see it in a reality, to apply the real problems. So we were a bit ambitious, and we went and we were like, okay, we were a small group, like 3 people, and we were like, and the professor was like, yeah, pick up this project and see, okay, what you guys can do. And literally, you wouldn't believe, like we had like the criminal database, and not the database, but we had the PDFs being shared by the police, and
Mhm.
and obviously the names were redacted
Yeah.
and whatnot. But it's a basic. We ran a prediction model to say, okay, where exactly next crime could happen. And the crime, it's not like a sort of a bigger crime, but it's a really a small time, like a theft or a larceny, something like that, right? So
Mhm.
and when do things happen, right? So that they can allocate their police force on that time, on that day. So there's exactly, it's more of like a scheduling and planning problem.
Yeah.
And they want us to predict, okay, exactly when it's happened, and we figured out some interesting finds out of it. And yeah, so they needed more people. What we figured out, they needed more people on Thursday evenings.
Okay. Thursday evenings is when
because
that's
because that's when
Mhm.
bachelor was the largest group there, and they were doing a
Yeah.
party. And you wouldn't believe
Okay.
there's a party of like 200 people in one house, and they create all
Oh
the
my
ruckus there. It's
So
funny.
that's super interesting. So
Yes.
as your industrial engineering
Hmm.
degree,
Hmm.
they were able to bring your team together with the New York State Police,
Hmm.
and now you're applying it for municipal,
Yeah.
like use cases, not just industry, not just in industry, but now
Industry. Hmm.
you're dealing with municipal
Hmm.
challenges and around crime.
Yep.
So it kind of gives people a sense of how broad the
Yes.
applications of this are,
Hmm.
because you're just trying to figure out the right decisions and optimizations, and you're figuring out police schedules effectively, right?
Yes. Yes.
Having the right people at the right place at the right time.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so this is your grad school
Yeah.
experience,
Hmm.
and you're doing this as an intern, and you and 3 other people are presenting this to New York State Police. Um, Tell me, a bit more about kind of how that experience shaped, what the chapter that came next.
Yeah, sure. So this uh, this work on like the data project with my professor, it kind of definitely boosted up my confidence, saying, "Hey, okay, you're not alone.
Yep.
Like in this country, you have people who are supportive of like whatever you want to do, right? So you're passionate about the data, professor there to guide you, right? They can recommend you, and also the core thing is like the teaching, right?
Mhm.
It was so good. I was able to grasp the fundamentals pretty quick,
Mm.
and obviously we did like bunch of like group study, like friends were helping out. There was a completely shared knowledge environment, so which I totally loved it over here, and because that is like quite different than the Indian system of education, and coming from there, this is like quite different, and total understanding was great, and kudos to a lot of PhDs who are like doing the who are teaching assistants, and they helped us a lot understand grasp the concepts quick. So with
Yeah.
all those things, by the end of the first year, I wanted to do an internship, like a summer internship. So that when I reached out to, I was like any other student doing online checkups, and also doing an on LinkedIn in a cold text sending out. So I was doing both to see increase my profitability, but I'm sorry, probability. Um, luckily, luckily, I got my internship at West Rock, and this how this happened is I pinged my LinkedIn contact like 2 months back, and he was working for a different company, but then he moved to this new company who was looking for like the new internship. So they were growing the team, and they're like, okay, yeah. So it's like that's it's a pure I would say a lot of luck in there to get that, and surprise thing was that guy didn't use LinkedIn all this while, and he just used it like
Yeah.
maybe after years, and somehow he replied to me with a helping attitude, which is where everything started, and my kicked off my professional journey there at West Rock.
At West Rock. Okay. So super interesting. There's kind of a couple common threads here.
Mm-hmm.
Both those internships that you had, both the one that you had, with the chemical company
Mm-hmm.
and this one that you had with the state police,
Mm-hmm.
they both had a really big impact on your confidence level. They
Sure.
also both kind of put you in the right position where you were ready to go and, again, talk to people and convince some people to
Yep.
give you opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
um, right from the get-go. And they both kind of led to, again, even great support academically and from mentors and teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So here you are, you're at West Rock. Now, a lot of people don't know what that is, but tell us a little bit about, okay, you're now a professional, you're in
Mm-hmm.
the US,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing decision science. It's not police stuff anymore. It's not
Mm-hmm.
the exactly the same as the chemical
Mm-hmm.
project that you're working on, but there is some overlap. Just tell everybody a little bit about industrial engineering and the data sets and kind of what you were building there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So let me share about the West Rock experience. So I was hired as a data science intern there, and what we initially did was like the time series forecasting, to be specific, because forecasting also kind of falls under pure data science, a problem there. And let me tell you this. So my background is in decision science, but decision science do span all sort of data science problems. So I was hired to perform this predictions problem, and to be specific, I was trying to predict the folding cartons. I mean, Westrock as a company, what they do is actually a paper products.
Paper products. Got
Paper
it.
products, exactly, and they literally, well, they own the entire supply chain. I mean, that supply chain is like huge. They
From
own some
forest to
exactly the
right.
forests, and they do very innovative, like we can't call it like a deforestation, but they have like different regions that they cut in like in cycles, and each cycle is almost 10 years. So you have to nurture a tree for like 8 to 10 years, and
Right.
they get that perfect state for a paper cutting. So it's like they have engineered that whole piece, and you wouldn't believe there is a role name called paper physicist, in inside the company. So who literally is to work on the paper. What is the paper engineering? So much goes into the paper. Like your Starbucks cups, a paper can hold water only if it's coming from a virgin. So a virgin paper, what is virgin paper? Is the one which is cut from the trees and it's
Right.
made. If it is a recycle, then it's like recycle, right? So they call it like virgin and recycle. So all these sort of like you have different products coming in, but then towards the end you are making a paper product, and which is like exactly I wanted to the team wanted me to work on the prediction to say,
Mhm.
hey, how much exactly we would need so that we can do a capacity planning for the
Right.
next year, right? Going into it for the next quarter, how much I should have the capacity, and how much. So I predicted saying close to 80% accuracy. I predicted their folding cartons, how much exactly the product they would need, and they used that model and they backtracked it to say, hey, this is how much we would need at the back for making a virgin paper as well as like the recycled paper, and what would be the mix that should go in, right?
So
Yeah.
you're dealing with all of their mixes between recycling and,
Mhm.
new tree paper
Mhm,
and things
mhm,
like that. So you're
mhm.
you're solving things that are pretty in depth in their
Yes.
industry, in the paper
Mhm.
industry
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
particular.
Mhm.
And so what's interesting about this is how you're jumping into industries and you have to kind of become an expert in that industry.
Yes.
It's
Mhm.
like you have to learn all the lingo and all the terminology
Mhm.
and how paper works,
Sure.
things like that, so that you can
Mhm.
actually help them make good informed decisions. And I'm curious, like, to me, I feel like a lot of people get stuck in a lane. They learn one industry and they have a hard
Mhm.
time transferring their skills to a different industry.
Mhm.
How do you approach that challenge where
Mhm.
it's like, because it can be intimidating to have to learn a whole new industry and all of its nuance.
Yes. Yes. So this is exactly what I faced when I joined IBM, or let me put that way, right? So
Yeah,
because I was in industry, I mean, I know process, right? So if you, I mean, anything you want to do, you have to set up a process. There are people, there are systems. You gotta bring it all together, make it a beautiful flow, right? Um, you know, uh, so those are my connecting points. If I just cut, copy, and paste it, I can do the exact same thing for a marketing process. I can do the
sure.
same exact thing for a logistical process, and you can do the same thing for anything like a high level decision making strategic process, right? So
Right.
when you enter a system, I call it a system because a company or like
Yeah.
anything, right? So when you enter a company or like when you start seeing things from this like process flow, logical flow, just use like I would say a data science is just a common sense, right? Why I say that is you just think logically and you put things together, you connect the dots, you will easily crack it. It doesn't matter what you do or like where you are, it doesn't matter. Even coding, like sometimes you see this AI engineers doing like a lot more like crazy stuff,
Yeah.
but it's actually nothing but like a logical thinking and a bit of with a bit of common sense and business understanding. That's it, right?
So you're
So
seeing patterns
mm,
that sort of are above the context of that this is
yes,
paper and
yes,
this, and some of the details.
exactly.
And so understanding kind of the broader systems thinking
Hmm.
allows you to kind of jump from completely different specific industry contexts,
Yep.
and you're able to bring a lot of the same, approaches, a lot of the
Hmm.
same kinds of decisioning and engineering principles
Yep.
over.
Yep.
Okay.
L-
So
let
now
me
you've
add
met. Yeah.
like a couple more points as there as well. So
Yeah.
being said that, I'm also a bit of a bit of a social guy. Like I
Yeah.
literally go and talk to someone. Like even though I did not work with like any of those, I literally go and like talk to them about a process, like just a small talk.
Yeah.
But at the back end, I try to ask how it's going and what's going on at the back end and why
Yeah.
this is impacted, right? So to understand any framework at any situation, I have this five whys, like where, what, when, where, why, how. So you
Yeah.
ask these questions around anything that's gonna give a clarity to your mind. Okay, and then like you can say, yeah, okay, this would work out, or this doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, yeah, you re-question them, and that's gonna keep the conversation going. So asking the right questions and having the social way of like interacting and checking with the people is definitely gonna give you a long way in understanding a lot more complexities on these things, right? So, and also one thing in Westrock, what they did is beautiful thing is they took us to their plants. Like we traveled to 5 plants around Atlanta. So Atlanta is where my internship is. They took us on a bus trip, all the internship like 2 full buses, like school students. They took us through their plants and walked us through each and every supply chain, every plant in their supply chain, starting from production through wastage. They have lost more wastage, like the recycled peppers going in there. Exactly, they actually get it from the waste processing plant. We literally went to a waste processing plant. We saw how the waste processing is being done. So being there,
Yeah.
I asked the managers on the floor, hey, okay, what's going on here, right? So any quick questions there. So all those like small bits and pieces kind of like sits in these puzzles, and you could form a nice process. Okay, yeah, this is how things are happening on a grand scheme, and then you
Great.
go from there. So yeah, that's how they do it
Yeah.
in different place. Yeah.
So you got to see every kind of processing plant involved
Yep.
in the entire chain.
Yes.
And you were just mentioning just being extremely inquisitive and social. I mean, you have
Mhm.
to talk to people. You have
Yeah.
to geek out about, what you're learning here,
Yeah.
and being curious and using those questions helps you learn each industry so that you
Yep.
can then go and take the actual data science and apply it.
This podcast is powered by Braindew, a digital marketing agency that not only provides a diverse mix of digital services, but offers guidance, experience, and true partnership to bring your business to the next level. This episode is about artificial intelligence, but we also offer expertise in other areas such as paid media, SEO, development, analytics, data science, and design, just to name a few. We've worked with businesses on every level, from local operations to Fortune 500 companies across a variety of industries. We have experts to strategize and execute your digital marketing needs, no matter what step in the process you're at. We're there for you. From wireframes to paid campaigns. Braindew, experts in everything digital. Please reach out today to learn more about how we can help your business grow.
Okay. So Westrock,
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about, where you went next.
Yeah, sure. So next, when I was interning at Westrock, and because it's my first experience,
Hmm.
um, I got another interview from Norfolk Southern, which is again same in the Atlanta region,
Hmm.
and luckily, our school, like one of the reason I selected university at Buffalo, like sunny Buffalo, New York, is they allow you to work like 6 months. Like not many universities do that. So
Yeah.
few universities, they don't let you during the fall semester, they don't let you do internships, but my school does it. And also I was closely working with a professor who was also luckily on the transportation professor, so who was
So
on the
you're at,
transportation studies.
so you're at University of Buffalo, but
Hmm.
your internship is in Atlanta. So are you
Hmm.
taking classes online? Like, how are
No,
you?
no,
Okay.
I don't take any classes actually.
Okay. So
So
when you were doing the internship, you were just pure internship. That was your main.
no,
Okay. That
yes,
was your main
yes, yeah,
focus.
pure full time. It's a full time internship, and summer is fine because summer is holidays anyway. But fall time is actually you can make this. I pushed my courses because I was doing a thesis, and thesis have certain credits, and instead of doing the course, I picked up the thesis. And this is like a year-long thesis. You have to do a work on a paper with the professor, and yeah, and you defend the thesis, right? So that's exactly how it goes. I picked up that option because I wanted to do an internship as well and also thesis. So I wanted to maximize my
Yeah.
in a student master's life, and make it come out like as a successful
Yeah.
master's student, right? So I
So
did
you're gonna
that.
have a great thesis,
Exactly,
and you're also going to have great experience at the same
exactly,
time, and
exactly,
a broader network.
exactly.
Okay.
And yeah, so quickly back to the Norfolk Southern experience. I gave interview, and I was selected. That's great. The moment I enter Norfolk Southern, it's actually a freight. I mean, I think if people don't know about Norfolk Southern, it's nothing but a freight company, a railway freight network, and they operate like close to 10,000s of miles of they have the rail tracks, and also they own the tracks as well as the locomotives and all the items that, I mean, all the
So
logistics.
now
It's
we're
part
in
of
trains.
logistics.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now
So
we're on the
we're in
trains.
Yeah.
Exactly. And literally all the movement from California to all the bulk movements from east to coast, they move via trains in US. So there are some 8 railroads who control the logistics of across US, and of course, then is one of them. They have like pretty strong network on the east coast, and from Maine through Florida, right? And that they and also they run to Texas and I think Arizona as well. So they have like a huge network. The moment I worked, I mean, I didn't had any idea how good or like, I mean, what sort of caliber they have. But the moment I went there, oh my God, they are one of the extremely sophisticated team technically, and they're almost like it's like a Google actually.
Yeah.
The moment I get into Google, you see everyone is like super smart. That's the kind of the team I got into there, and oh my God, it's like I felt like, okay, who I'm not even to the to the part. Like I know it, I don't know, I don't even know how I got it there, right? So that was my experience because they were doing computer vision on. There is a computer vision camera in their locomotive, and they exactly spot any issues on the tracks, right? And that is like in 2016, right? And you guys see the caliber, right? And they're like
Yeah.
pretty much advanced in the mathematics and AI. They have a lot of satellite data. So the power project I was involved in, they have this satellite data, picture of the track being taken like at every mile, and they visually inspect it. So the models that see the images, that's like
Yeah.
millions of images, and it pinpoints exactly what is the life on the track. So there is a geometry of the track that does like a T shape, and it kind of erodes over time because obviously as the trains run, it kind of erodes, and it's up to the we were working with the predictive maintenance team, and obviously before anything bad happens, you have to go fix that because if something
Yeah.
happens, it's almost a 2 week delay, right? Because you got to fix the track and like redo again, do the test runs and
Yeah.
whatnot, right? And it could be anywhere. Like you have to travel thousands of miles to get the products there, and so it's like a big headache for a freight company. So very sophisticated algorithms, very sophisticated big data systems, and sophisticated teams as well. Like most of them were Georgia Tech and Georgia Tech and some MIT folks too. Extremely smart, right? So sometimes
Yeah.
I couldn't even get their language what they're talking about. It was because it's
Sure.
an internship and like 3 months time, right? So it's like, but I did a bit of justice because I was literally doing the data cleaning,
Uh-huh.
data cleaning of the satellite images that's generated, and
Yeah.
also I was verifying the model output with the satellite images, what is actually predicted, which is what is actual, and then compare it as it correctly flagged or not, right? So even though I wasn't exactly involved in the core model development, but I was validating the model, doing another like close to a natural language processing work where
Mhm.
engineers type up a text and it just straight up goes to a predictive counter to say, okay, this locomotive might need a predictive maintenance, check it up before the next trip,
Yeah.
something like that. So huge, lot of work.
You're trying to take all the
Crazy.
signal that's
Exactly.
possible. You're using
Exactly.
satellite
Fast.
signal, you're using cameras, you're
Oh my
using
God.
text
Crazy. Yes.
information.
Literally all the technology
Okay,
you could think
all the
of.
signal, all the signal.
Yes.
We need to fix this segment of track
Hmm.
at mile 13,
Hmm.
point 2 on this line,
Yep. Yep.
because it's below our threshold of,
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Exactly. That's the thing I was doing. But a lot of mathematics.
And you're learning all of this in a 3-month
Yes.
3-month internship. You're learning enough that you're able to articulate all of this.
Exactly. I
Okay.
couldn't comprehend. Yeah, but yeah, it was great. But it was a great experience.
So
Post that. Hmm.
your internship experiences are extremely remarkable.
Hmm.
I think, I so you have to be feeling pretty confident now as you are approaching the end of your grad degree.
Hmm.
You're ready to go and enter the workforce again,
Yep.
full time,
Yep.
not as an intern. Tell
Yep.
me a bit about that.
Yeah. Sure. So
Yeah.
now I was like trying to do the full time hunting. Job
Yeah.
hunting is the most stressful time to any masters or any student. I would put it right.
Is there decision science that you were putting into your job hunt? Like, do you kind of like think through the factors of where to go
I would,
next?
I was, I didn't know that that way, but the emotions were high, so
Yes.
I didn't nerd out that way, but I was confident. As you exactly said, I have pretty decent experience from IBM.
Yeah.
I know pretty good course. Great internships, right? So I have like pretty good on my profile, and I know I if I get the crack the interview, I think I could get it right.
Yeah.
And I indeed like gave a lot more many interviews. Somewhere like because also I was also trying. I'm from industrial engineering background, but
Yeah.
one thing I still like don't kind of like don't have is like the proper coding skills of
Gotcha.
of a machine learning scientist, because machine learning scientists are usually computer science folks who have been
Yes.
learning all the data structures, all the like the
Right.
hardcore
They build them.
algorithm.
Right. They design data structures and all of
Exactly.
that.
So
Yeah.
they design end-to-end systems. They have coding at an operating systems level. Like it's super
Yeah.
hard coding stuff, right? So I don't have that skill set. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
and obviously it's like an engineering thinking. Only if you did computer science, you would have that thinking sort of thinking, or would be good at it. And somehow I couldn't pick it up in the shorter period of time. Let me put that way, right?
Right.
So what I had to do was, okay, I know my coding game is not that great, but I know my business game is really good. So I
Yeah.
just used that to my leverage, and all the different conversations I had, different a lot of there were coding rounds, and there were multiple strategic rounds, and like HR rounds, and like the behavior rounds. I was putting myself as a strong business and strategic person there,
Mhm.
than more on the inner coding and like the other things. So that level of thinking and like that level of I would say marketing, right? It's a self marketing. You got to market
Yeah.
yourself,
You're
saying
marketing.
exactly why you're the best. So I did my best to it's kind of like you gotta drive the interview your way, not
Yeah.
let the interviews take the control of it. So there is a bit of a smartness you need to play, in the sense, understand who's going to interview you, review their LinkedIn profile. If they're super strong in something, you don't touch there because you might get stuck there, in the sense, um, because
Yeah. So you're optimizing
data
kind of
science,
your interview process.
exactly,
Yeah.
data science is like it's a quite vast, and also there are
Right.
many experts who are like interviewing this, right? So they know algorithms in and out,
So
without you actually going knowing end to end of an algorithm, you cannot say, okay, hey, I worked on it, right? And you might get got sick, even though that's not a one deciding criteria for like for selecting you as a candidate, but still, like, that's kind of a basics, right?
well, you're bringing up a great point here.
Mm-hmm.
There are different career paths, and
Yeah,
some of them involve coding skills.
yeah.
Some of them are more strategic and maybe industry thinking in nature, systems
Mm-hmm.
thinking in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm curious about, in your track where you said you were kind of approaching this with less coding,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you still have to work with the data. So
Yes,
how
yes.
do you interface with it? What kinds of tools do you use
Mm-hmm.
if you're not just writing straight code?
Yeah, so it's I would put it like, the Python level coding is not like earlier at my stage. Okay, early when I was like graduating from my masters, I'm not great at like Python level coding. Like Python or R programming was two languages of my choice. I had that
Sure.
time,
Python and R.
and exactly. So R, I was using R because that's good for statistics,
Hmm.
and that's good for like doing the analysis. So I'm good at like writing up the analysis, but not like an end to end production level grade softwares or like systems.
Right.
So that is
Right.
what I mean as like a hardcore coding side of things. But I do know like the SQL, like SQL. I know the SQL, and I've been working on the SQL even in IBM. So I was all good at it.
Right.
So the basic level of up until data analysis, I'm good at it, but not at the data scientist level coding, right?
Gotcha.
So, because I didn't have that experience anywhere yet so far, right? You
Right.
can do the analysis on hand or like in paper or maybe in like just Excel sheets in Excel, but um, in order to get that level of experience, you have to really work through it, which I got only during the internship time. So I did have some experience on the internship time, but not to the level of like at an expert level of it. Now, why I'm saying that this is, I even interviewed for Meta, in fact Facebook. So being in industrial engineering and you interviewing for like a Facebook or a Facebook, it was Facebook by the time, right?
Yeah.
Interviewing for a Facebook, I interviewed for Adobe, I interviewed for eBay, I interviewed for many. I would put it like the California tech companies, right?
Yes.
That was my initial target, but then I quickly figured I didn't. Maybe I need some more time to get there because they were expecting raw coding skills. Like they
Just,
don't.
just they were doing
Nah,
coding tests in their interviews or something. Like how are
exactly.
they? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's a
They were
live
like,
coding.
debug this. Okay.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Live coding interviews,
Yeah.
a few startups as well. But their obviously the pay is like the best, right? So they were ready to pay
Sure.
200K, 250K, but then they were expecting like a computer science background. Like
Right.
even though you do have like supply chain business, like business skills and like knowledge or strategies, but they were looking for, you know, w- they want
Yeah.
the raw coding skills. They want to prioritize the coding, even though you
Yeah.
don't know about the business. They
They're
didn't care
looking
much about
for,
it.
like you said, and it sounds to me like you're doing a lot of decision
Yep.
science work that doesn't require you to be a particular, technician at just the coding part.
Exactly. Yep.
And
Yep.
you do know some technical skills. I mean,
Hmm.
you do use R, you do
Yep.
use Python, you do
Yep.
work with databases of various types, and you do
Hmm.
write SQL.
Hmm.
So you're very much in data.
Yes. Yes.
But you're saying that there's a strong career path for people who are focusing on the industry, on the business, not just the raw,
Yep.
technician skills, but strategic skills. And
Yes.
that's where you've been building a career.
Exactly.
So tell us
So
a bit.
let me
Yeah.
put this right.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find the fit, right?
Yep.
So to put it cleanly, so this job would fit my profile, and I was clearly by the end of the process, I clearly know what job I should apply to and what job I shouldn't, right?
Yes.
And in fact that kind of proves my point because even at times right now I apply for certain jobs, I get a call immediately because
Yeah.
I know that profile exactly fits my profile and what I want to do next.
Right.
So I had that clarity. I mean, it took some time for me to reach that clarity. I was interviewing for a couple of months, but when I gave the Staples round, you wouldn't believe it was like 3-day interview. They were hiring quick and they wanted to have a lock up a candidate,
Yeah.
and it was just 3 days. By the end of the fourth day, I had my offer,
Wow.
and they didn't require like a master coders. No, but they clearly know they need some. They need an analyst who can think like strategically, at a systemic thinking, who knows the business, all those sort of thing is where like I ended up like giving me a job at Staples, and it just meant everyone were like super happy. The very first interview, very positive. It was like a quick, super quick, and in 4 days I got my from the first round to last round. Like I literally got it in like 4 days.
So, okay. So 4-day multi-round interview,
Yeah.
intense interview schedule, like a
Mm-hmm.
rapid interview
Yep.
schedule for
Yep.
Staples.
Yep.
Staples has a lot of stores. I don't know how many they have right now, but
Yeah.
they're
Mm-hmm.
they're a very
Thousands
large
of.
chain,
Mm-hmm.
thousands of stores. So
Yeah.
and and you're working as a data scientist for Staples. So what kinds of problems and challenges, industrial engineering challenges, are you solving with data science at
Mm-hmm.
Staples?
Yeah, sure. So, let me put this. I wouldn't call it a industrial engineering problem yet, but because
Okay.
it's I pivoted more to an operations research and like the data
Operationals.
analytics part
Okay.
of it. Exactly. I mean, let me put this: the decision science is where like I'm pivoted most of my energy towards because I
Got
clearly
it.
know that's where my success is and
Yeah.
where I would go as a prof. I would grow as a decision scientist than rather being on a different path, right? Because it's a specific domain that you need certain knowledge and you can go much more deeper into it, and any day I know there's going to be demand for it
Right.
because of the large because of the large set of problems being solved today, right? Every day,
Yeah.
like day in and day out.
Making
So
decisions is, yes, there's always going to be value in someone who can
available,
help you make
exactly.
good
So
decisions.
and exactly that's what my focus is. Like initially I
Right.
was focusing on my all of my first year I was working on this financial model,
Hmm.
and my team has developed, and they wanted an analyst to report and closely work with the merchandising team, and supply chain team, and bring up the data, bring up the insights, and show, hey, what SKUs are like profitable or not profitable, right? So that was my very first project, and literally I worked it for a year because there is so much insights. There are like
Yeah.
50,000 SKUs that I need to analyze across 20 fulfillment centers. You can put in the combination I have. Now I need to analyze at a network level what SKUs are profitable or not profitable, and you have like the moment you get into the real world, like all data is like messy and like it sits in like different
Yeah.
places, and
Purchasing.
fulfillment team giving an expense sheet in a different format. A transportation team is coming in like, and the worst part is like no one know what's the right answer to. So at times this also happens, and you have to dig up the yourself, like do the analysis yourself, and like, well, I love that time, right?
Yeah.
You don't have any AI tools or like anything. It's a raw thinking from your end, and purely
Yeah.
from your team's guidance, and direction. uh we literally had like one whole day we had a brainstorming session. I never know that would even like happen, because um, we were constantly talking just about data. We just had like 3 data
Yeah.
points and multiple insights from multiple systems, and we were discussing all day to reach a final recommendation with my
Yeah.
manager. So those are like the amazing times, like we as I said, like the specific decision what I was working towards is, okay, should we carry this product or not in our in Staples,
Mm-hmm.
and because it's doing profitable, it's not profitable. If it's not profitable, why it's not profitable? Where we are leaking it? Is it on the promotional SKUs? Is it on the because there are many products we buy only for specific clients. What's going on there? Maybe they initially promised and they didn't continue with the volume. There are multiple things. I
Yeah.
need to closely work with the merchandising team to understand what's going on at the back end.
Yeah. I mean, I think about all the variables that you had to deal with
Hmm.
here because you have
Hmm.
so many different product lines and so
Yep.
many different dynamics in play.
Yep.
Like you said, the total cost to the company to have that SKU in
Hmm.
its, register as
Hmm.
something they offer.
Hmm.
And then, what you sell it for and what's the real margin
Yep.
after
Yep.
all the other logistical expenses involved
Yep.
in just having that SKU in the system
Hmm.
are calculated.
Yep.
And you're trying to figure out where are they winning and where are they not.
Yes.
Um, okay. So this is like an extreme version of that, raw material project that you were
Yeah.
working on in your first internship.
Yes. Hmm.
But it's for Staples now.
Yep.
And you're learning a lot, and it
Hmm.
feels like it's closest to what, your whole intention, which
Hmm.
was,
Hmm.
to when you were at IBM, you felt like you weren't on a track, and now you're definitely doing the thing
Yep.
that you were aiming to do.
Hmm.
Tell me about, your time at Staples. You decided to move on. Tell me a little bit about, okay,
Hmm.
where do we go from here?
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
kind of done it now. You check. You did exactly what you set out to do. Now what?
Yeah. So as an operations research analyst in Staples as my first job, there I learned like, how to build this cost to serve analytics and understand more from like we were like an internal consulting team, so we did like bunch of other projects as well, like specifically closely one specific marketing project we did is okay, you show products in the website only those which are closer to you, closer to the customer, right? So they'll be able to
Nice.
order only if it is, for example, if I'm sitting in Pennsylvania, I would have option only to select from Pennsylvania. It will show only the products which are in stock from the Pennsylvania DC. So
Gotcha.
I
Yeah.
all those like sort of like I did like web ranking. There are multiple small projects we did, but then later I pivoted more into a data science role as a natural progression. That's where I got into the core inventory optimization project, which is exactly what I thought I would be doing on during my bachelor's time, right? So it's kind of like the full circle moment for me. And the moment I got into the inventory optimization, oh my god, yeah, it's a crazy same 50,000 SKUs into 20 fulfillment centers. It's like a a lot of like firefighting and like a data work, constant decisions about where should we stock the products, and how much should we stock it, and what is the safety stock on it, when should we order, right? And we closely work with the inventory planners and demand planners team, and they kind of like own certain matrices, and
Mhm.
we plug those numbers, and then we try to develop this model to say, hey, okay, yeah, this is how we should carry. And as part of this, we also handle the transfers, so which is like, yeah, if you don't have products in California DC, then you move certain from like non-moving DCs. Like for example, if Florida has more quantity of the same SKU, then you tend to move it to the California DC or to the Seattle DC or to the Boston
Balancing
DC.
the fulfillment centers. Yeah.
Exactly. So I worked up there. I was an owner of that project. The another project I was owner of is like the ranking, right? So how fast should the products get into the fulfillment centers? So so touching this inventory gave me a perspective of like end-to-end supply chain, right? So I called myself like an end-to-end guy because I worked on inbound fulfillment, inside fulfillment centers, what's going on, labor planning, outbound and transportation, including first mile and last mile transportation. So I worked on like I touched up all the domains
Yeah.
being there, and that's kind of where when I felt, okay, I have two options here. Either I can grow into my more profile, and I would become like a senior manager and director, and then like go up a profile, right? And yeah, that kudos to my Staples team. My boss was like super happy to do that, but then I felt like okay, maybe I need to pivot and get into a different supply chain to see what's going on. So I wanted to get some different experience and see, okay, maybe redo to check. I always have this hunch for like I want to move to California because I have a lot more friends there, and also I was like I wanted to somehow get in there to see, okay, how what's the vibe there, right? Because all are a lot more innovators, a lot more coders. The passion is high, energy is high, and I wanted to be there. Simple as that. So,
Yeah.
and I gave interviews. I gave a beautiful company called Keep Trucking, and again, they were expecting hardcore coding again,
Yeah.
and that moment I felt like, okay, you know what, it's too much for me. Let me stick to the business and strategic side, and then like I got it, meaning the decision science side, and that time, luckily, I wanted to work for a startup. That's why, in fact, like I was trying to get into California. Luckily, American Eagle Outfitters were like hiring for their startups, right? And that's how I got into it. And wow, and the team was like amazing. I felt really great because an a PhD from MIT, the smartest out of all, I would put it, right? He is the one who interviewed me, and he gave very good feedback about my profile. So, and my thought process towards my business and how I'm approaching towards this decision science as a whole. And yeah, boom. I think I
So now
felt like
you're
that's kind of my certified, blue tick moment, you know,
yeah.
in my
Yeah.
in my profile. And yeah, I got in there. Oh my God, it was a roller coaster right there.
Yeah.
Starting like it exactly roller coaster. I went like super high. In the first year, I was doing presentations. I owned this transportation cost model. I'm
Mhm.
responsible for giving up sharing the cost. Like for example, if a package going from A to B, from A zip code to B zip code, what is the exact cost? How much it would make? And
Yeah.
and the pricing team was exactly using my cost numbers to add up a margin to share it with the different clients, because it's a third party logistics. We do this. I took care of the transportation cost model, and I developed the model, the backend.
Yeah.
And oh my God, hell, it
And
was
just
crazy, right?
very high level. So
Hmm.
at Staples, you're doing everything for Staples.
Hmm.
At this new company, you are building software and building sort of a logistics engine, so to speak,
Hmm.
that obviously you're connected to American Eagle Outfitters, the
Hmm.
popular brand that
Hmm.
a lot of our audience knows.
Hmm.
But it sounds like you were building a system that you were also able to resell or white label or
Hmm.
otherwise offer similar logistic services.
Hmm.
It's around 2022.
Hmm.
Uh, Retail got completely upended with COVID.
Yep.
They saw most of their sales happen online. Everything is about online,
Yep.
but you're entering it right as, but wait, the malls are opening back up again. And we also have like traditional retail is not completely gone either.
It's retail calyps. Yeah.
Right. And so
Mhm.
you have a lot of like, you know, transition happening.
Yes.
Basically,
Yeah.
they're all sort of in the whiplash of how big their online businesses got very quickly and rapidly during COVID to reintegrating with brick and mortar and other
Yes.
things
Mm-hmm.
all happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So just, help people understand a little bit about this startup like environment, even though you're technically attached to a big known brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So this startup environment is literally a startup environment. So I would put it right. So we weren't associated with the American Eagle outfitters. Like our email IDs were quite different because it was quiet platforms. And the American Eagle bought two startups from one from like Boston, Quiet Logistics, and other from like Airtara from Seattle, right? And they put it together to create this third party logistics and share American Eagle capabilities. But the
Mm.
team which was hired to build this is completely new, like
Right.
literally people veterans from Amazon, like literally all of like the IT tech team is from Amazon, like 10 years 15 years, who built the systems,
Right.
which is exactly powering the best
Obviously,
system and
yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
And I'm glad I'm part of that team because they wanted someone to work on the decision science side. And I was like put up there and working with a few other scientists as well, like, so we were like a big team. And day in and day out, the culture is like morning we discuss something,
Yeah.
and by end of the day, or at least like the very next day, we have to present the model's output. So that
So
was
rapid, right? Like a
so
rapid iteration.
rapid like crazy. And at times we were discussing in the weekends. So
Yeah.
it kind of blurred. I mean, I wouldn't call it a work life. I cannot talk about a work life balance there because
Yeah.
it's
There
I know
was a
it is it. I wouldn't call it a toxic, but it is, if you're on the learning side, this is like the best. And
yeah,
I was ready to, well, my girlfriend, then girlfriend, now wife, she was completely supportive.
yeah,
We wouldn't I wasn't like stepping out a lot, like literally I was glued to my screen like all day. Literally I had like a few 3 or 2 hours sleeping days too.
yeah,
The very first year was like it was like a running race, and we didn't had a single time rest, right? So
yeah,
we were so focused. Our CEO was active, like I know, we had a calls at like 2 a.m. in the morning on no one would believe, like 2 a.m. in the morning, because there was an investor meeting coming up, and I was presenting some values to
yeah,
the president. And literally, because I was responsible, I felt like baggage, right? That baggage is on me, and I wanted to deliver it. Doesn't matter. Like I know I'm losing my sleep. That's fine, right? So we do multiple, like, very quick iterations.
yeah.
We discuss about it in couple of hours. We do an iteration. We do
I
redo
mean,
again, back and
that
forth.
pacing and exposure to that kind of pacing is also kind of amazing. And I
Yep.
had a bit of that early in my career, and I could
Hmm.
say that helped.
Helped 100.
That intensity, even if it's a short period of your career,
Yep.
I wouldn't give that up. I'm glad I got exposed to it.
Yes.
Um, but to your point, it's very different than what you described as really comfortable at
Mm-hmm.
IBM.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Ah,
um,
Staples too. I would put it like Staples too.
Staples, yeah,
I was super
Staples is really
comfortable to leave
at
the job
Staples.
and
Yeah,
move too. So, but yeah, this
yeah.
I gotta blame my passion, but yeah, it's kind of keeping me pushing and like running, see next things.
Okay. And then that kind of got you exposure to this startup world and pace. And now
Mm-hmm.
you're in the midst of the startup. I don't know how
Yeah,
much of that you'd like to share with the audience.
sure. So I'm okay with that. So it's like
Yeah.
the roller coaster, right? So as usual, the startups comes with the risk. On the both side, you learn a lot. At the same time, the risk is a lot because it's investing, and like investors, there is a 50-50 chance again, right? So it can go as a hit or miss. And unfortunately, it was a miss, and somehow we couldn't pick it up. So yeah,
Right.
my role was like eliminated then, and like by the end of 2024. But at the same time, my wife was like, yeah, almost into 6 months of pregnancy. So it's like,
Yeah.
let me pause here, right? So because it was came as a shocker, and I was ready to deliver, and obviously I'm talented enough to deliver for American Eagle, but they are like already at full capacity and they wanted to run lean. As you
Right.
know, post COVID, literally all the retail firms, they built
Yeah.
up a huge capacity, and they couldn't like they couldn't like survive good as per their balance sheet. And because of that huge backlash with across all retail industry as a whole. So it's just a cycle. I think retail goes through the cycle every few years, and it's just part of the cycle. I think that's the another
Yeah.
thing I want to understand. If you're on a layoff, it's just a business cycle, and it's not purely about you, right? So I
Mhm.
clearly understand that, and I want to take a pause, and because my wife's into pregnancy, I wanted to spend some time, good time with her, and take
Yeah.
care of her. So I spent that time, and yeah, our beautiful boy arrived. I was
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you so much. And since then, I'm almost like a full time father for like the first few months, and had a beautiful time and enjoyed with the guy. And right now, at the back end, I was doing a couple of I was exploring like, what I'm really good at and what I want to really do for the rest of my life. And I figured out, okay, let me look into some startups, right? So I think because I worked at a startup and I know what is the culture that we need to build and what is the energy you need that to drive to the next step. So I started collaborating with a few of my friends, and also independently, I did consult a couple of brands to share my expertise and do a bunch of analysis around there. I did
Mhm.
that, but I want to focus on a bigger idea, like see, okay, what is the next which idea is going to rule next 10 years, right? That's what I'm
Yeah.
looking at, right? And I'm not looking at quick wins. So because I'm not trying to rush at this point, because thank God I have a very supportive partner, and financially I'm decent. I've saved up enough, I guess. So
Yeah.
it kind of gives me that question to say, okay, what's really I want to do in this whole thing, right? So that's when I figured, okay, I need not to rush. I know everyone is going after AI, but there is also another bigger domain like energy that's being picked up, because you need energy to have AI,
Sure.
and energy is a place where a lot of decision science is needed at this moment. Like exactly like a retail distribution, you have energy distribution as well. Like it's get created at the source and it's being split through every substations out down to your home. It's exactly like an e-commerce supply chain, and I can apply the same skill sets, literally the same models I can use there as well. So I'm I'm literally looking into different even data centers, right? So data centers, how they receive power, has
Mhm.
more of a decision science to it. So I'm exploring decision science not just on a supply chain and retail side. Now I want to go beyond the supply chain and retail, see where I can contribute, right, and what I can do big, right? As I said, what idea gonna be in trend in next 10 years is what I want to work towards, and yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
doing right now.
So when we think about all of this and
Mm-hmm,
we think about, like you said, AI is obviously the big decision of the day.
mm-hmm,
Are we going to use it? Where are we going to use it? How are we going to use it?
mm-hmm.
And to your point, there are a lot of industry business problems that are sort of popping up as a
Mm-hmm.
result of change in
Sure.
what's going on in the landscape.
Sure.
And you're looking at this and saying, I noticed that this whole thing that's happening over there is creating an energy problem. And that's actually where there's great work and great problems to be solved.
Mhm, mhm,
And so your viewpoint of this is a little bit differently than a lot of the folks that are just chasing to go and figure out how to use AI.
mhm.
You're saying AI is the customer. And
Yep.
and how do I make sure that I can we had the infrastructure to support it and
Mhm,
that there's opportunity over there. So you're still looking at things again a little bit differently,
mhm.
looking at from a systems perspective to kind of find the right career path pieces here.
Yep.
I know, before you mentioned you didn't develop a lot of those coding skills, and now we're seeing a lot of these AI tools help people do coding. Um,
Yes.
I'm curious what your thoughts are for people in analytics and math and analytics and data science in decision science.
Mhm.
What kinds of things should they be investing in? What kinds of perspective can you give to professionals in this space about what they should be looking at or thinking about differently?
Sure, sure. Let me say this. Yes, with AI, my skill set, right? So the one which I was lacking all this while, right?
Yeah.
Well, the hardcore coding, right? I call it a hardcore
Yeah.
coding level. That's been level set, right? So AI is actually a level playing field, is what like everyone is saying, right? So
Mhm.
you don't need to know coding, but obviously it's not like I can develop an end-to-end application. But right now I have the superpower at my hand, saying, "Hey, okay, any problem, I can do the work because coding is being done by AI and it's doing the pretty good job, right? So with just $20 subscription, it's like doing
Yeah.
amazing job. so
Yeah.
so for experts like me, it's definitely a great tool. And to test that, I gave literally a few interviews. Even though like I'm doing all those things, I do interviews because I want to stay relevant and see, okay, what's going on, what's in demand, right? So I want to
Yeah.
see what's that side as well. So uh, for the last 2 3 companies, I see coding is become an optional, or you can use AI to code the rounds. So coding around is still there, but they're letting you to use OpenAI. So it's like open book test, right? So you can literally, so they are going after your thinking. So
Mhm.
how's your thinking is looking like? So that's exact, and your attitude towards the problem solving is exactly what the teams are like looking forward. So which is, I'm super glad. Like if I'm
Yeah.
graduating right now, if I don't have the coding skills, I need not to worry about it because I can get into any company right now, right? So
Yeah.
that being said, the job I did in like 2016 has become obsolete. So I'll say this, like, let me for the audience of like, let me split into two parts. One is like the freshers who are like coming out of the schools.
Mhm.
um you guys are like pretty good at like picking up that technology, because I think it's Gen Z and like Gen Alphas, like those are the people who are like working on the school age and like coming out of the school. You guys you guys pick up technology real fast. So Sam Alpon also confirms that like you guys are the luckiest people right now to graduate, right? Even though a lot of entry level positions are being kind of eliminated, but it's kind of transforming the role, right? So how do I a job can be anything, right? Kind of job or agnostic AI skill set is what you have to develop, in the sense, take up an AI, be it a Gemini or OpenAI, anything. Spend all the time with that, like ask questions. AI is actually it's like an S man. Like whatever you ask, it's gonna say, yeah, yeah, yes, boss, yeah, you're right,
Yeah.
you're the king, yes. But you challenge that, right? You challenge all the way. You challenge whenever you give a prompt. Always come from the go to the standpoint of like challenge it, right? Challenge it. This question is wrong, right? Why you need to do that is, why I'm saying that is, you're learning. I mean, the new people, the younger generation's learning is going to be with AI. I'm much more worried about my son's AI too, but using AI and like whatnot too, because uh, you do not know at what level they need to stop, right? That's also a thing, right? So, but
Mhm.
do this. Have your foundation super strong, right? By oppositely questioning this AI, right? This AI, okay, yeah, talk about the quantum physics. Yeah, okay, it gives like pages and pages of like references, materials, everything. Yeah, boom. Yeah, you have the knowledge. You read about it, you have the knowledge now. You take another step. You ask questions out of it, right? You challenge it. Say it's wrong. Say it's wrong. It's gonna give you a supporting evidence and like a lot more. It's gonna take you a conversation much more deeper to you. So that's exactly how I got my knowledge talking to people, picking up their thoughts. When a leader is speaking, they exactly point out a metric. Why I'm not When I was working for Staples, they talk about one metric, but I'm not working. Why I'm not working towards it? So all these like kind of inquisitiveness will kind of fuel you to the path of like, yeah, understanding more and more about the systems, right? So
Mhm.
be it like any business, doesn't matter where you're getting into, but try to get the basics done first. That's going to be the key, like the math and I know it's going to be boring, but try and like to get to the core of it. Because if you are so clear about like myself, like I know I'm getting into the supply chain, I
Yeah.
wouldn't change my domain, in the sense like the decision science is kind of my domain, to be honest. Like uh and
What?
I'm not pivoting to
Yeah.
I'm not pivoting from this ever,
I
even
was
though
gonna say,
AI.
what
Yeah.
what what
Mhm.
skills are still required even if you have AI?
Mhm. Yeah, business skill sets and and systems
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
Well, clearly know when you're doing an analytics, right? Uh, Ask the right questions. So I would say analytics is actually asking the right questions. That's it. So everyone have the answer. I mean, you have answers. Like AI has answers. Everyone have answers. But are you asking the right questions?
Right.
So exactly that is the way how an actionable analytics is analysis is being done and being propagated. Exactly understand where the impact is going, right? That the impact of your number, right? When you're changing in something or you're doing some analysis, ask where it's going or who's consuming it, and understand the metric. So in today's organization, right, everyone is like operating in like silos, right? Data silos. It's still there. That problem is still there. When I was working for Staples, be it American Eagle, every team are on their own. Like they're like close silos just within them, and they're
Yeah.
expert just within that boundaries, but they kind of not share with the outside world. Well, what I'm saying is like go beyond that door. Like I know that because these silos are cultural, sometimes like political, data wise. So like lot is it's a lot more come from this cultural standpoint. But I would say break that, right? Go for
Mhm.
it. Don't be hesitant to ask any question. So that's exactly how you sort of like expand your knowledge and you get deeper into it, right? So they're calling it a T way, right? So you have a skill set maybe on like one or two topics, but then you go deep into one topic. So it's exactly like the T formation, right? Exactly
Mhm.
what you got to do. And being in this, I'll say this, I'm not worried about AI. Even though it can make my job obsolete in like 10 years going ahead, I'm not worried about it because I always know my business knowledge is needed for that is needed for that AI to train on its own to answer my questions, whatever I have.
Yeah.
Right. I'm saying this because I've grown to a point of like calling myself a professional expert in right now. But yeah, pick and choose. I would say pick and choose one specific path, a specific domain, learn everything out of it. Uh, just don't go on a horizontal pathway, but pick up a vertical and go straight up into it. Or I see another set of people who are making really good is generalists. People are calling an AI generalist, so they know end to end about like it's a horizontal pathway. About all the tools and systems.
Right. And I think there's value in both. I
Mm-hmm.
think you're
Yep.
making a strong point there, but I
Yep.
do like that idea of that T,
Yes.
piece where
Mm-hmm.
becoming an expert in something, there will always be an opportunity for the expert in that thing.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
But then being a good generalist means you can connect the dots. And I
Yes.
think your
Mm-hmm.
systems thinking, you have to be able to do both.
Yes. Exactly.
Um,
Yep.
like you said, the whole end-to-end supply chain, it's kind of the same concept, but then
Mm-hmm.
going really deep into the problem, is your T part.
Exactly. Tea part comes into it. And yeah, that's exactly how to survive in this like post.
Well,
Hey,
so I hope, the audience takes away, be
mm-hmm,
curious, ask
mm-hmm.
lots of
Sure,
questions, get and lean into the challenges and the problems.
sure.
Um, ask your what, where, when, why, how.
Mm-hmm,
Um, and ultimately they shouldn't be there will still be decisions that need to be made and still
mm-hmm.
people in control
Yep,
of making those decisions. So,
yep.
finding the different problems to solve, noticing where, new challenges open up. That's where aspiring decision scientists should
Mm-hmm,
should go.
yep.
Well, it's been wonderful talking with you,
Sure.
Sarathkumar.
Same here. Same here. Um,
And
yeah. Thank you
so
so much, Brian. Yeah, it's been a great I was like thinking through all the past memories as kind of like a reminiscing, great things. I mean, good moves and also bad moves I've made in my career so far, and being here at this moment. Thank you so much for this opportunity too. And this is my first podcast, so I'm happy I'm able to share my thoughts. I know, yeah. Anyone who's listening and wanted to reach out to me, you can talk about like anything, like not just supply chain. I talk about like marketing, front end, like back end part of the business, energy. I'm exploring more into energy right now. And anything related to automobile, yeah, feel free to reach out to me too.
Yeah, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. I especially
Yeah.
loved your approach of just the foundation, stay curious, question things,
Yes.
challenge, especially the yes man that AI can be. That is
Yes.
always important. And to see your journey
Mhm.
into where you are right now, it requires requires a lot of the stuff that you have gone through. And best of luck to you continuing in the future. This has been awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for Data Fully too. That's where we got introduced. So yeah, keep it going, guys. And yeah, I'll be attending the future sessions too. And thank you so much, Brian, Brandon, for this.
All right, so to our audience, thank you for spending time with us. Learn more about BrainDo and our marketing services on our website at www.brain.do. If you'd like to see more from us, please consider subscribing or giving us a follow, and we can be found on our social media like Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn at brain.do, the same handle. And yeah, if you learned something helpful, I'm very glad. And we are going to keep putting out some more content for you in the future to keep this going. So otherwise, we'll see you next time at the
The
Round
Round
Table.
Table.